Hello, and thank you for joining us on Classic Vinyl Podcast and our Meet the Beatles series. And of course, our Meet the Beatles series, we normally do in order, but we're breaking the rules this time.
Shame.
Because it ain't been around since you know when.
O-U-T spells out.
It does.
Yeah.
Now, I'm one of your hosts, Justin. I'm, of course, joined by my co-host, Tyler.
Again.
Yeah, again for the Christmas season.
For Christmas.
Second week in a row, we're doing a Christmas tune. Like I stated, we normally do all the Beatles in chronological order, but this is one that really wasn't released, and so this was off one of their Christmas fan club albums, so we're doing it out of order, and we can do whatever we want anyways.
Yeah, I mean, if you like the Beatles, is it going to matter?
Probably not.
Yeah.
And it's Christmas time, so let's get to it. You all know about the lads from Liverpool. If you've listened to our podcast before, they're my favorite band. They're, as far as I'm concerned, the most influential and best band in history. I obviously love them, and I'm a nerd for them, and I'm trying to get Tyler into them, and I think it's kind of working.
It's working.
Yeah, it's working. So let me give you a little history on the Beatles' Christmas Time is Here Again. This song was released on December 15th of 1967, and we're releasing it on December 15th of 2025.
You're welcome.
Yes, you're welcome. So this was released on the band's fifth fan club Christmas album. They began recording Christmas albums for their fan club in 1963. They were mailed to fan club members free of charge. Kind of cool. It would have been. And they're kind of hard to get your hands on now. I've got a CD of all of them, and I've got a couple of them on vinyl, but not all of them. I'd like to collect them all. So This was recorded at EMI Studios, also known as Abbey Road Studios now, and produced by George Martin. This was recorded just a couple weeks after the band had finished sessions for the Magical Mystery Tour EP, so right in that era, if you're familiar with that. Now, this is one of the few Beatles songs credited to all four Beatles. I know Flying was another one that was credited to all four Beatles, but it's one of the few songs that have this unique distinction to it. Now, most of their Christmas records in the past were made up of nonsense. Not saying this one isn't, but they were definitely nonsense and on the spot. And this song, Christmas Time is Here Again, was written specifically for this record. I mean, not a lot of inventiveness to it because there's not a whole lot of lyrics in it.
No, and it's so few lyrics that I have to wonder if the crediting of the writing to everybody is they just went around the room and like, okay, give us a line.
Well, and the way I see it is, and of course, once again, I'm going to say it, I'm a Beatles nerd, but this is the Beatles half-assing a song.
Yeah.
To be kind of humorous like they were, and it's just the way, but I think they did a really good job, and you got to keep in mind, this wasn't meant as a release. This was meant to just send to their fan clubs, is just here.
This is a Christmas card to the fan clubs.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, we're a bunch of goofs. And that's how they wanted it to play out, and I think it was kind of cool that way.
Oh, especially in the original 7-minute version.
Yeah, exactly. And we did listen to kind of the condensed version a couple times and the original version a couple times. So you have four Beatles singing on this song, along with George Martin and Victor Spinetti, if you're familiar with him, if you're into Beatles lore. John Lennon is on a bass drum, Paul McCartney on piano, George Harrison on an acoustic guitar, and Ringo Starr on drums as well. Now, after recording this, they did go back and double track all the vocals. So Ringo Starr and Victor Spinetti, if you listen to the full-length version, they actually tap dance in this thing. So that's, if you can hear that tap dancing, that's who's doing the tap dancing. I never knew Ringo Starr was a tap dancer.
I do not know who Victor Spinetti is off the top of my head, but right now, for the purpose of this recording, I'm going to imagine that that's the name of Paul McCartney's granddad.
Who is very clean.
He is very clean. Yeah,
so you've got John Lennon on this with the spoken word. That's kind of how it opens and closes. Mm-hmm. Now, this was the band's final Christmas album to be recorded with them all in the studio together. The next 2 years, they actually recorded their parts separate and then kind of mixed them together to make them sound like they were together, but they really weren't.
Oh.
And I think that's kind of during the time of the unraveling of the band, unfortunately. So
that'll happen.
But this is the last one of them just kind of goofing around together, which I think kind of makes this one special.
Yeah.
So this album was like their previous versions where they had kind of a mixture of skits, joking, and basically just a bunch of made-up nonsense they did on the spot just to kind of give the fans a thank you and a Merry Christmas. There's a couple versions. There's a long version of this and then an uncut version of just this song that's about 7 minutes long, but it had to be edited because there was some foul language and a lot of laughing and a little too crazy to send out to the fans.
Well, yeah, this song is it's a Christmas party. Somebody took a tape recorder to a Christmas party and hit record.
Yeah, you can imagine them all, drinking some lagers there in the studio and smoking a joint or something, and let's make this
getting
for the
rowdy.
fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you hear that come through, and that's why I say this isn't meant to be a release or a polished version of any kind.
No, you definitely don't play it in church.
No, and if you've heard any of the Beatles Christmas records, they are all just kind of goofy, and it's what's kind of special about this band. And I think the one thing, not to go off on a tangent, but what I like the Beatles is they were together such a short time, especially for their recording career, and they amassed so much material. It's just amazing. You can't imagine that out of any artist these days.
This band, for being as short-lived as they were, they really are a major hub upon which the world turned in the 60s.
Without a doubt. This song was released once again on December 4th of 1995 on the Free as the Bird single. It was a 4-song single, basically. That's kind of when I was introduced to it. It was during all the anthology releases and things, and it's when I heard this song for the first time. And it's a shortened version that's about 3 minutes long, but it's just the Christmas Time is Here Again with John Lennon's spoken word at the first and the end. And it's kind of interesting, and you can tell it's been kind of remastered and remixed, but it's a little bit different. So the original 1967 version was reissued on the Christmas records that come out in 2017, which was a limited edition box set of all of the band's Christmas records. And that's something I still need to get my hands on. That's one I don't have. And it's kind of weird because it's like you want these as a Beatles completist, but they're not
attainable.
Well, they are attainable to a certain extent. I've got them all on CD. I've got a couple of the Christmas albums, but it would be nice to have all the originals. So there's also a re-recorded version of this that Ringo Starr did. He re-recorded this song on his 1999 Christmas album, I Want to Be Santa Claus.
Okay.
So, Tyler, we listened to this song 4 times, basically. The original twice and the 1995 version twice. I know you've heard this before, but what are your thoughts on this song?
I'm pretty sure that I was introduced to this song by you.
Well, maybe that's the case.
Yeah, I think in your office you played it for me for the first time. I didn't think much of it at the time. I wasn't all that enthralled because it's very repetitive. Repetitiveness in Christmas songs especially drives me crazy. However, my favorite Beatles song has 2 lines in it complete in total, and it's just repetitive over and over and over again. And I love that song so much, and this song reminds me of that. And I'm starting to come around to the Beatles way of writing that makes me really appreciate it. And I really like this song. I think before tonight, I would have rated it probably a 2, but I rate it significantly higher.
Well, and it kind of strikes me, being that it's on the fly and just kind of silliness and absurdness and just kind of made up to be funny is kind of down your alley a little bit.
It really is. And now that I've been awakened to that, I realize, this is my Christmas song. I love it.
So what did you think of this song overall after actually sitting down to critically listen to it, to give your overall thoughts?
Critically listening to this song and seeing it for what it is and not for it trying to be something, because it really comes across as just some boys having fun, being silly, tape recorders running, and they're just being fun for the sake of being boys. They're just having a good time. They're not causing any harm. They're just recording a party and putting on a little bit of a show. And it's fun to see it in the light of what it is. It just really boosts the song all that more for me. Yeah, it gets real drony with repetitive. If you're just listening to the lyrics, Christmas time is here again. But that is just there for background. It's not there for anything else. It's just that's the tune, and it just keeps, marching on. And they Play. So the spoken words by John Lennon at the beginning. I couldn't make out the end because it gets a little off rails.
Well, let's go to this. So the beginning starts in a planetary mix, page 444. That's what John Lennon says to start it out.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
And I'm going to read you the outro from John Lennon, just so you know what it is.
Yeah.
And Christmas time is all, and your Bonnie clay us through. Happy breastling to you people, all our best from me to you. When the beastie brang 'em to the heather and little inn, and be strattened oot in my tether to your arms once back again. Oak away, ye Bonnie.
So this sounds exactly like what it is. This is a guy from Liverpool reciting a Scottish poem.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Or just a bunch of gibberish.
It sounds like gibberish, but now that you say it, so I can hear it and understand it, I'm like, oh yeah, that is Scottish.
It is really hard to understand it on the record.
Yeah, but I mean, the things that he's saying, oot is just out. Tether is that he's tethered to home.
Yeah, except oot spelled O-O-T.
O-O-T, yeah.
Right there.
Because
that's how O-U-T.
That's how it's pronounced.
Exactly.
Scotland. Yeah, it makes sense now.
Well, and I think we need to go in when Ringo's saying that you hear Ringo through the song say out is spelled O-U-T. We need to say that is actually based off an old ball against the wall game called Queenie Eye.
Yeah.
And I think that's something, I'm not sure exactly how it works. Maybe but that's something when you get someone out or when you're the one that gets out, you spell out that way.
It's kind of like when kids are picking teams and they do eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and it comes down to O-U-T spells out at the end. So, yeah, that's how you count each other out.
Well, and that's the funny thing is we talk about this song being repetitive with Christmas time is here again. About the only things you hear in it is out spells O-U-T, and then you hear Paul say, ain't been round since you know when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any reference that comes from?
I'm not sure of that.
Okay.
If anyone knows, let us know because I'm not sure where that comes from.
Yeah.
Maybe it's from the game too. Who knows?
And once again, I really speculate that the Beatles were sitting down like, okay, let's write a Christmas card to our fans. I need one line from everybody. And of course, Paul McCartney's saying that. His line is, Christmas time is here again.
Well, you know what's funny about the chorus is I hear George Harrison. I hear his voice in that chorus more than anyone's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his is like the dominant force in that to me. And anybody else listen to it and tell me what you think, because I hear Harrison's voice.
Okay, and I was wondering if that was John Lennon.
I can't hear John Lennon, you can obviously hear him harmonizing, but I know they double tracked it. But all I can hear, the one voice I can pick out is George Harrison's without a doubt.
Because I know that Paul McCartney is the guy with 1,000 voices, so he could be any one of the Beatles. But I was wondering if it might be Lennon, because Lennon does have a little bit more higher pitch sometimes. However, when you say George Harrison, that makes sense. The one Beatle I know it wasn't is Ringo.
Yeah, I think he was singing in that, but I think he's mixed to the back just a little bit. And
just like his drums.
That's what I've always thought every time I've heard this, is that I've always wondered why Harrison is so forward in it, but he is.
Maybe he was just the guy standing closest to the microphone.
Could have been. Could have been.
This song, for being what it is, I thoroughly enjoyed it. What are your thoughts about this one, Justin? What's your history?
I've got to have it because it's the Beatles.
Yeah.
About the only time I really ever listen to it is I'll pop in that Christmas disc once a year and listen to it while I'm working. And it's not something I'm super familiar with because I'm only listening to it once a year, unlike everything else Beatles that I listen to. It does have that drumming intro. It's actually kind of like the song we did last week, Little Saint Nick, that started with the drums too. I don't know if that has to be a thing with rock and roll Christmas songs, but it is.
Bang the drum,
and
drummer boys.
And the other note I did make was I can really hear George, which I already talked about that. It's pretty repetitive through the whole thing. Christmas time is here again 5 million times in a row. You get the ain't been round since you know when, and you get the O-U-T spells out. That's pretty much the whole song.
And for 7 minutes.
Yeah, and then you get the spoken word to start it and end it from Lennon, but then you get all four Beatles at the end that wish you a happy Christmas or a Merry Christmas or whatever. You get Paul McCartney says he wishes you everything that you would wish yourselves for Christmas or something. I think John Lennon says, "Have a happy Christmas." So it's kind of foreboding his song to come in a few years after this, and a good New Year. I think George says, "Have a very Merry Christmas, listeners everywhere," or something like that. And Ringo says, "Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year." So you kind of have the outro, and they're telling their fan club, "Merry Christmas and thank you for being our fans." And I think it's kind of cool that they sent this out to them for free.
Yeah.
It makes me wish I could have been there, because I certainly would have been a part of the fan club. But from what I understood, I don't know if it was this one or the earlier ones, is they only sent these out in Britain. They only sent postcards out in America. That's what I had heard, but I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Could be.
I think it was true for at least some of the Christmas albums and this one, but I don't know if that was true for all of them. But they are kind of tough to find.
Yeah. This song is not as commonly heard or played.
Well, I think it's because it's really not a song. It's not a song they professionally mixed and meant to be released as some kind of single. When we talk about last week's song by the Beach Boys, Little Saint Nick, they went into the studio to record that to release it as a single.
Yeah.
This was something different. This really wasn't supposed to see any kind of light of day.
And yet it's starting to make its way onto Christmas radios.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
It is. I don't hear it frequently, but I do hear it from time to time. I just really think that's amazing that from this tiny little Christmas card to the fans grows this seed that now has branched out onto the main radios.
So do you want to get the song rating on this thing?
Let's rate it.
Song rating.
Okay, listener, if this is your first time listening, our scale is, I will explain briefly. Our scale is 0 to 10, 10 being the best. But like I said, before tonight, I put this one at a 2. Wasn't a big fan because of the repetitiveness, but having listened to it for what it is, having seen it for the purpose of it behind it, I've significantly bumped my estimation. I would give it a solid 7.5. I might even bump it up to 8 because for what it's supposed to be, it's a perfect Christmas card to the fans. Where do you put this one, Justin?
It's funny. Last week on Little Saint Nick, you come in with a -100 or something on that and went to a +5, which was a big move. And this one, you're going from a 2 to a 7.5 or 8.
Yeah, but I mean, 5, I put smack in the middle because it didn't make me love it. It just made it neutral for me.
It's funny because Little Saint Nick is more of a polished song than this.
For sure.
But you're rating this on based what it is. Well, I'm going to do something, since this is kind of our podcast, I'm going to do something that I wouldn't normally do. When I rate the Beatles, I always rate them on a curve based on their own music. I try not to compare them to everything else. I'm saying, okay, this is rated against their own music. I'm not going to give this song a rating.
No.
Because I don't think it was meant as a song. I don't think it's supposed to be a song. To me, it doesn't fall anything different than kind of a clever interview or a gift to someone. And so I don't feel like it deserves a rating.
No, but what this is it is sending a Christmas party to their fans. Like, hey, have a Christmas party with the Beatles.
Yeah, and it is kind of private. Even though they had millions of fans, it's still a private thing. They didn't commercially release this. They didn't sell it. They didn't make money off of it. In fact, it probably cost them to send to their people, obviously free of charge. And so I really don't want to rate it because I don't know where I would rate it. Because if I rated it purely as a song, it wouldn't be that high up there. If I rated it as the satire it is and the gift that it is, it would be a lot higher than some of their songs I rate. And I don't think either one's fair.
Well, because it does have that personal feel to it, that personal touch.
Kind of.
That we made this this is a gift that was made by the Beatles for people that love them.
Exactly. And I think it is what it is, and I don't think they really wanted to be commercially available. And of course, now they're reproducing these box sets and they're, putting them on singles that they sell. So I guess they are selling it now. And people like me, the completists, buy it anyways, but I just can't really rate it as a song because I don't consider it a song.
I would love to hear what Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr's opinion are on this song making its way out to people.
Well, Ringo must have liked it because he re-recorded it.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's one opinion of it. I'm curious what Paul McCartney's thoughts are on the life cycle of this song. And like I said, was planting that seed and watching it grow into this tree.
Well, it's really funny because last week we did Little Saint Nick was originally a song you hated. This was a song you didn't rate very high. And I'm sure next year we might get to Paul McCartney's 80s song that you don't have very high feelings of either.
I don't. But we'll see what happens when we get there.
We'll see what happens when the time comes. But so that's the Beatles. Christmas time is here again. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email them to us at classicvinylpodcast@gmail.com. If you have any songs or albums you'd like us to rate, send them there as well. We really appreciate you taking your time to listen to us. It does mean a ton to us. And we hope you guys have a happy holiday and a happy new year. So until next time, see you later.
Glad Yule. Thank you so much for listening to Classic Vinyl Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Classic Vinyl Podcast for updates and also share us with your music-loving friends.